back to Mish Men, another episode. Hope you enjoyed episode last with Dusty. We enjoyed discussing that. So I am Adam Mauser, one half of Mish Men.
Mishmash Men.
Mishmash Men. To my right is Mr. Dustin Labar.
Hello, everybody.
So last week we had a great discussion, and some of this, there's a lot of overlap on what we talked about last week and what we're going to talk about this week.
Good.
And what it comes down to, it's more conversational, but what it comes down to is a lot of freedom, liberty, and how we can operate in this world relating to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've been following the news that closely, but it looks like, I'm hearing murmurings anyway,
Yeah.
of some more mandates and lockdowns and masks.
Sure. I have some pretty big opinions on this, so good, keep going.
Yeah, so I'm hearing murmurings of it, but it's not one of those things where it looks like it's coming back hard. It's just maybe like they're testing the waters. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my opinion on this, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, I would love to hear your opinion.
I think there's a lot of dang things in play here. I think it's multi-angle issues. I think it's, if I was the Republican Party, I would sure want people to think that. That's step one. I would want people to think that Biden's about to do that, right? I would want that because you're going to enrage a huge amount of people on both sides, not just only Republicans. It's going to be a huge thing. I think people are testing the waters to see what they can get away with.
Yeah.
And I also think people are people like me and you that are so, maybe people that are maybe a little bit more sensitive, but people that are so worried, that hated that time, that any murmurings of it, it's just like they explode and start talking about it because they're so worried about going back to that.
Yeah.
But then also you have to think, like, I don't believe that they're ever going to be able to do that again. I think that is going to be one heck of a mountain to climb because of what happened last time. So I'm a little less worried. Like, so when it first happened, I was really worried and stressed out about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do that, because I wanted to have, if I didn't want to wear a mask, or if I didn't want to do something, or if I didn't want to stay at home, I didn't want to have to do that. This time, and I think you had said something about the Supreme Court being a little bit different than it has been in the past. I think they're going to have that would be even to state-wise, even to put mask mandates, not even talking even if we're not talking lockdowns, just talking mask mandates, which is you can still go out, but there's a mandate for masks. I still think they're going to have that's a heck of a hurdle to climb now. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
Same way.
Okay.
A lot of overlap. I think the idea was just getting floated. There was like Lionsgate, they're a movie or entertainment industry.
Can I also say this?
Yeah.
I don't take anything that's said or happens in the state of California as like real life. So like Hollywood and all that stuff, whatever they're doing, I like laugh about that. So.
I do too, but then I found out there are a lot of states, a not insignificant number of states, that whatever California's legislature says or their executive says, they adopt automatically. It's just in their laws.
Oh, it's in their laws.
It's in their laws. Like it's in Virginia's laws that if California says it, we're going to do the same thing.
Well, that's stupid.
It is ridiculous. That's not federalism. Federalism is literally you have individual, like little experiments.
I got you.
And this state says this, and like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, we might do it, but we're going to pass it our own way.
Yeah.
Because we're beholden to the people, not beholden to the people of some loony bin state.
Yeah, that's right.
Not saying that California is loony bin state, but yeah.
Well, parts of it are.
100,000%.
100,000%. Yeah.
So we're going to wear that out.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
We will.
Yeah. We will.
So there's a production company that they were instituting some form of mandate. There's a school in Atlanta that they were going to mandate.
Yeah.
I didn't read. I could never get to the bottom of what they were really going to mandate, whether it was just mask wear or if it was vaccines or when I say vaccines, I don't mean just like any old vaccines. Like, well, everyone's got to have the Hep C and tetanus vaccine.
Just vaccines in general.
But it's the specific one that we just lived through the past 3 years.
Yeah. The one that doesn't work.
The one that doesn't work and the one that's not really a vaccine.
Yeah.
According to the guy that invented that type of pharmaceutical.
Yeah, I think there's also like some weird things that could be in play. Like, I really think this may be on the conspiratorial side of things. So this is Dusty talking. There's no research. There's no information to back me
That's
up.
what this podcast really is.
So I just want to say this before.
Not to let anybody down, but this is just our opinion.
I have not heard anything about this, but on this side of things, there is a theory that the Democrats are like slowly letting things come out about Biden to like basically be like at the end be like, you're not going to run again.
Right.
Like you've lost.
That.
And so part of me also thinks that in the great wisdom of the Democrats is that of trying to get Biden to get out, they're like, you know what would really make everybody mad is if we started telling people that we're going to max. And then people are like, we don't want Biden. And then all of a sudden they're like, listen, man, your approval ratings are, we got to get you out. You can't run a second time. Why don't you just bow out gracefully? Don't make it a big deal. Don't lose. Like, be a graceful president. You're 480 years old. You can barely talk. Like just move on.
Well, what about all the illegalities that are coming out? Like the New York Post recently reported on, he had 5,400 emails using aliases while he was vice president.
Like Bo Jiden.
Yeah. Aliases in emails that were official, but they were from this alias that he had back and forth between him and his son Hunter.
Yeah.
Like, that's illegal.
Well, was he talking about the weather? Because that's important.
Oh, yeah.
Was he talking about the weather?
So, but my question is, do you think, because I happen to agree with you, I think my prediction,
okay,
this is a prediction, you can mark it down. I have evidence, but I won't share it with anyone.
Okay.
And it's not really evidence so much as just reading tea leaves.
Okay.
That he's not going to be running in 24.
Yeah, I agree.
That he's going to be out either the 25th Amendment, which is if you're incapacitated and you can't be serve in that office, in this case, president. Article 2 of the Constitution covers the executive. If he doesn't, if he gets removed, then Kamala, the vice president, will assume the office, and then they'll bring in another person.
Yeah, I mean, she couldn't be more disliked, which is so funny.
Yes.
People couldn't like her less.
Well, she's very articulate.
Some of the stuff that she describes, my favorite video, if you have not watched it, please go watch her explain to everybody what AI is.
That was not artificial intelligence, but, it was artificial intelligence.
It's amazing.
She told us what it stood for.
Yes, she sure did. She definitely knows how to define words. But I tend to agree with you, and I agree, and I'm happy about it because I mean, he's too old, man. I mean, he can't form a coherent. It's not him. He's not running the show, right?
No.
Don't you agree?
I agree. Someone is operating a puppet.
Yeah, and he can't even. And it's a terrible puppet because like the puppet, like it's like the worst.
Jeff
puppet.
Dunham would be better at this
because he's like, I mean, way better because he's like the thing in Hawaii. He was like, my house burned once.
Oh my
I
gosh!
almost lost a Corvette, and everybody in Hawaii is like, what the heck?
That was so funny. I almost lost my Corvette from a kitchen fire. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you can relate to us.
It's like somebody was like, just go up there and relate to the people, and he's like, I think I've got the perfect story.
I got this.
Yeah. So I mean, it's but I don't.
Is it that's also the same Corvette that his illegally stored or classified documents were?
He never drives it. He didn't know they were in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while. So, but I agree with you. I think this is me just being like my win-loss kind of thing, like thinking hypothetically. There's no way the Democrats think that they can win with him.
Affirmative.
At this point.
Right.
He's too far gone. And like people I'm guessing that people that voted for him originally are now like...
The 80 million people?
Yeah, well, it was actually 480 million. You were off by a little bit. They all voted for him. It was unbelievable numbers. But, because he really... This may be getting off topic, but he really ran super left. Like so left. But he's not that way. Even from when he was in the 80s, he's not like that. Like he didn't support gay marriage, like all these things that you would consider like left, like more left leaning. And so when he got into office, all those things that he ran on that he didn't try to solve, all those people are upset. So you have people that like want a different Democrat because he's not left enough. And then you have all the people that probably voted for him as like that were more center leaning, but maybe they thought Trump was too polarizing and they were like, well, this guy's a better option. Well, they're not voting for him again. If you were center, if you were like more in the center, you're not voting for him again. I promise you.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, I just think it would be a huge mistake. I mean, I think they should let RFK debate that dude.
Well, they won't. So there are going to be no Democrat debates.
How funny would it be? I mean, RFK would destroy it.
It wouldn't even be like a real debate. It would just be an embarrassment because right now, like for years now, it's almost looked like elderly abuse when they stick him out there. Remember the time that he went to some sort of town hall, might have been Wolf Blitzer that was interviewing him.
Okay.
And it was during when they were pushing the vaccine.
Okay.
And literally, he just hunches over for seconds. And I'm not saying like 1 or 2 seconds. It was like 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds of him like kind of leaning forward.
Yeah.
Almost like Mitch McConnell these days. He's had 2 episodes where he's just like shut down, and then he just comes back.
Yeah. He's buffering.
It's like buffering.
He has poor internet connection.
Like you're streaming your movie, and all of a sudden it just stops to buffer for a little bit. So it's almost elderly abuse. If I didn't loathe him so much as a politician, I would be kind of sad. But he needs to go, and I think he's going to be gone before the 24 election.
Yeah, I agree. I heard somebody say that recently, and they laid out a pretty good path to why they thought that was going to happen. And it's not that it's true or anything's going to happen the way that he said it, but it makes sense. I just don't think if they want a chance to, the ultimate, they don't care if it's Biden. They just want to have power.
That's right.
So they don't care who it is, but they have to know that he's not that path to victory.
No, and most of these politicians, they say a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what they say on the campaign trail. It matters what they actually do.
Yeah.
And so they say whatever they want, and then they get elected, and then the background people just continue to work.
Yeah, that's right. There's people literally above him that are just going to do whatever they want anyway. They just need the power. So not to get, I guess we can get off as much topic as we want. Doesn't matter. But I think I don't. Is he going to get away the whole time without debating anybody? That seems crazy.
That's what they say, but the DNC, like, they're not going to do any debates from what I gather. But I think he's going to be gone. He's going to probably gone maybe 6 months, I would think, that they can get a person like gone.
Gotcha,
we're going to remove him.
Yeah.
And we're going to put this other person in there.
Yeah.
And it would have to be pretty soon because primary season is coming up. Like 24 is primary season.
Right.
Like Super Tuesday is March 4th, I think.
Right. Gotcha.
Or March 5th. It's March 5th because Trump's trial is March 4th. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So they before that. So before February, there's that's my guess.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have
something's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just Adam's prediction. I have no research on this.
You've done zero.
I've done zero research. But I just read tea leaves, so
okay.
I've been right before.
Sometimes. What do you think about Vivek Ramaswamy? Is he no good or good?
He says a lot of the right things.
Yeah, he sure does.
I'm deeply suspicious of someone that just comes out of nowhere, specifically where he came from, because he got a lot of Soros money years ago. He was like a young up-and-comer in the World Economic Forum.
Right.
Which it's an organization that is completely evil.
It's a problem.
And then now that's kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
He successfully sued to have his name expunged from the World Economic Forum list of people.
Okay. Well, that would be important if you're going to run for president of the United States.
As a Republican,
especially
specifically. But he does say a lot of the right things. Now, I matured and I changed my mind on a number of topics.
Sure.
When new information comes to light, and I habitually change my mind on a particular subject. So he could be one of if you don't, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it could be one of those things where he saw the light and saw, maybe I was wrong before. So it could be that. He says the right things now.
Yeah.
But I think time will tell on that guy.
Yeah.
I kind of like what he has to say right now.
I like what he has to say. So that's Dusty's statement 1. Then part 2 is he literally sounds like the Manchurian Candidate, where they put him. They were like, "This is what the Republicans are going to want you to say." So he says, everybody's like, "This guy knows what he's talking about." But did you hear what Chris Christie said to him?
No.
On the Republican debate? He was like, the last time a guy with a weird last name stood on a debate
I did hear
stage
that.
was Barack Obama, and everybody's like, "Oh!"
Now, did you hear what Vivek's response was?
No, I didn't.
He goes, "Well,
maybe I did.
Because there was a time when Chris Christie was literally hugging Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So he pointed that out. You hugged that guy, so he can't be all that bad.
Do you think I don't need to ask that question. It's better to be younger. I was going to say, do you think but should there be there's obviously a lower age limit. So he's just crested he's 38 or about to be 38 or 38.
Right.
So he's 3 years older than the age limit. There has to be an upper age limit, don't you think? We have to do something. I'm talking about for the government.
There is a problem with who has been lingering around in office for decades now. So you've got Dianne Feinstein. Did you see where there was just audio? You couldn't really see her, but she was incoherent. I'm not saying like that, like what she was saying just didn't quite make sense, and she didn't draw her conclusion quite out, and it wasn't logically defendable. She was incoherent. And the staffer had to say, I forget what the word was. Say I concur, or I agree.
She couldn't come up with the word.
And she just started talking, and it was like she's clearly being coddled and told what to say. So she should be removed
for sure.
For sure, the state should be like, you know what? We need to have a special vote. We need to have her step down.
Do you remember Strom Thurmond? Yeah. They were wheeling him in. Yeah. They were he needs to vote. And then they're it was Weekend at Bernie's. They were he voted. He nodded his head. And he was, I think he was 100.
He might have been, yeah.
He was he might have been close to 100.
Did you see Mitch McConnell?
Him buffer?
This happened twice now.
I saw the first one video. I saw the second one, and I was like, I know that it's the same thing, but it's fun. I mean, can I be honest? It should
1,000%.
It shouldn't be so funny, but I watched it. This is so terrible. The first time I saw it, I watched it 10 times in a row, and I was laughing the whole time.
Your laugh did not diminish?
I couldn't. I was I would slow down, because the end of the video, he came back out. So I was like, okay. But then when I would replay it, it was like he powered down. I don't even know what it was.
There's been some choice memes over that. But I didn't know you're such a fan. I might share some of the memes I've got. They're so good.
You'd have to think that somebody's we need to get this guy out of here. He just went he's like.
They pretend, and the staffer pretended he couldn't really hear the question. Make sure you speak clearly when you're speaking to the senator. It's that had nothing to do with it. If I can't hear you, and you ask me a question I don't understand, could you say that again, Dusty? I didn't quite get that.
Yeah,
and then I respond immediately after I do hear it. Or I'm sorry, my hearing is really bad. Could you say it one more time?
Yeah.
But there's interaction. I don't just
yeah. Adam, how do you feel about this? And you're
just stop talking. You could almost hear the Price is Right horns, the losing Price is Right.
Yeah, that's exactly
just
right.
Waits.
I mean, they have to do something about that. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not. They're smarter people than me that can decide that. But I mean, you gotta have when they are clearly so you probably know people. I know people that are 75 and sharp as a knife.
Right.
Can have no memory loss, are super sharp, and then there's some 60-year-old guys you're like,
yeah,
that's a problem.
There's some 40-year-old guys.
Yeah, sure. So,
I don't know about this guy.
I mean, there's some 36-year-old guys that are like that. But anyway, so maybe it's it's harder to be a clear-cut number because when you start getting to that upper age limit, 75 is not the same to everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, you get more variation in the mean.
Right.
The older you get.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's got to be something to these guys are just riding it out. They're I guess I'll just do it till I'm dead and not really affect change, and somebody's just going to talk for me pretty much.
Well, how about this? Free and open elections that are legitimate and not governed by a third-party software company.
You sound crazy.
I know, that's right. Because then, I interact with my my chosen representative.
Yep.
And I'm an engaged citizen.
Right.
I'm not just this aloof citizen. It's yeah, whatever. Nothing's going to change, and so I'm just going to continue to vote for the guy that gets us money.
Yeah.
Part of it is I've kind of had these kind of glancing blows about the amendment. I think it's the 17th Amendment. 17th Amendment is direct election of the senators, I think.
Okay.
16th was the income tax amendment, I believe.
Okay.
Two of the worst amendments ever.
Yeah.
Two of the worst.
They're definitely not the best.
The income tax is it's theft.
Yeah.
It's legalized theft, and but that's another topic altogether. Maybe we can go down that path. But the direct election of senators was something that's just a travesty.
Yeah.
And here's why. You have who you're accountable to is who you're going to perform for.
Right.
So if I'm beholden to voters, then I'm going to perform to those voters, and I'm going to do I'm going to say whatever I want
Yeah.
to get their vote in order for me to continue to do what it is for my next election. That's really what that game is.
Right.
When the country was established, the senators were elected by the state legislatures, by each state.
Right.
So if you think about this system, you have a bicameral legislature, and you got one half of it, the one that generates all revenue bills, all tax stuff, right, and spending of money, that all generates out of the House. And so you have in your district, your congressional district, you have this person that you're regularly interfacing with, hopefully, that they're coming around. If not, then you might want to be asking, like, why is Dale Strong always up in D.C. and he's never coming down here to find out what's going on, because this is who he should be representing.
Right, right.
And then so those bills would originate with the House, and you have direct voting to that guy or gal that is going to represent your district, your congressional district, for the House.
Right.
The U.S. House, not just the State House. And then the State House would elect the senator.
Right.
Now, the way the proponents of the 17th Amendment, I'm going to call it the 17th, and I think I'm correct on that. Please fact check me. Is the proponents, or the anti-17th Amendment, or I'm sorry, the proponents of the 17th Amendment, I said it right the first time, that what they do is they say, well, it was just these backroom deals, cigar-filled rooms where this political machine would elect the senators. Mm-hmm. That's what they said. That may or may not be true. I'm not negating the fact that could happen. But the bottom line is the state legislatures have a if you are paying attention to your state, what's going on in the state, you're going to elect people that properly represent you. So if you're an engaged citizen, you're going to vote for the folks that are now going to pick that senator.
Right.
What that does is, so as a bill comes up from the House, and we want to spend money on X, now the state is now represented by two senators that say, and that's their state legislature. So you and I might say, and we might get this group of people that say, hey, we want everyone to pay for, we want the federal government to start funding that everyone wear purple sweaters. We think that's great.
Gotcha.
We think it's going to help us in our health and our environment, and it will save the whales, and we'll have clean oceans, and the schools will be great, and everyone will be able to read. So just laundry list of benefits from the purple sweaters.
Yeah.
But then the state senate, or the U.S. senators representing the state of Alabama, are like, okay, that sounds like a great idea, but how are we going to pay for this?
Yeah.
Because my state legislatures know that we have limits to how much money that we can contribute, and we know the downstream effects. So they represent that state legislature that says, we can't fund that.
Right.
And so they would deliberate. That used to be called the greatest deliberative body. They still do, but it's not the greatest deliberative body.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Gotcha.
The U.S. Senate is a joke because they don't do filibusters the way they used to, where it's like legitimately, like, I'm just going to get up here and talk.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk. And then just basically say, well, I'm filibustering.
Strom Thurmond had the longest filibuster, speaking of.
Yeah. What, was he alive, or was he just like in his wheelchair?
I think somebody was moving his mouth.
Okay.
But actually, I think it was when he was younger.
Yeah.
He did it for like 24 hours or something.
That's when he was against the Civil Rights Act, right?
Is that true?
Probably.
My God. I hope that's not true.
So
but he for sure was against it.
So at any rate, the bottom line is we've gone away from that there's a lot of stuff that came out during that progressive era after the Civil War and before, right around World War I. That's the height of like this explosion of what this country could do. And then right around the early 20th century, that's when the progressive era was really kicking in. And they had the income tax amendment and direct election of senators, which totally wrecked. So now they're beholden to each individual. They're promised the moon to every individual. They don't deliver, but then they get money to the state. It's just this mess. But so anyway, that was quite a rant. But
I liked it.
What we talked about was mandates.
Mandates.
Yeah. So these mandates. Let's ignore the efficacy of the mandates. So
whether or not it's effective or not.
Yeah, whether or not it's effective that masks work or shots work.
Okay.
I'm just talking about as a matter of principle when it comes to our liberty. Because we were, last I checked, we were a constitutional republic.
Yep.
And we're supposed to be this free nation where I have free enterprise to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Own property.
Yeah.
Not be happy, but own property.
Yeah. I'd also like to be happy.
That makes you happy if you can live.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, so did the framers know what's going on with epidemics and pandemics and that sort of thing? Where they just miss the boat? Like, well, that freedom thing is really good until though people start getting sick.
Well, that's the problem. Is it was an all encompassing freedom, and now we're like picking and choosing.
Yeah, we are picking and choosing.
So it's definitely not. Yeah, if it regardless of the, I agree. It's a good way to look at it. Regardless of the. So I think we had talked about this. If there was a new pandemic and it had a 99% kill rate, and the only way to stay healthy and away from it is stay inside. If you do want to go outside, that's
up to you.
That's totally 100% up to you. I mean, you just should be able to. Like, I'm not like, it's the same thing. Like, they're not pulling somebody out of shark infested waters if they want to swim in there.
Right.
That's 100% that person's choice.
Right.
I wouldn't probably do it. But if that guy wants to go swim in shark infested water,
with like a bacon necklace.
Yeah, if he wants to stuff his shorts full of red meat and jump in there and see how long he can last, that's 100% up to him.
Just like carry a bucket of chum and just like spray it around and swim.
I mean, but the government sure isn't stepping in and being like, "Hey, man, you can't do that because you're gonna die.
You're gonna make the rest of us die."
Yeah. So I mean, it's it's one of those things where like, if I don't have any I really don't have any. If you want to wear a mask or somebody wants to wear a mask, I don't really have a problem with it. You can wear whatever you want.
I think it's silly because masks actually don't work, but it's up to you. It should be up to you.
100%. There's plenty of things that don't work that you should be allowed to do just in general in life.
Right.
And the same thing with like, you just have to let people do what they're going to do. You can't in America, you cannot stop people from living their lives
or from being stupid.
But people are going to, but you have to understand that sometimes people are going to be stupid.
Right.
So you cannot save everybody if they choose to do something. And then I think we had talked about it like, oh, the hospitals may be overrun. Yeah, maybe. It could happen. They could be overrun.
Right.
It could happen, but still, it's that person's choice.
It's a self-correcting thing.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
And a little context on that. Hospitals, most of them are private.
Yeah.
And they're in it to make money.
Right.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, you want them to.
It's in their self-interest to keep us healthy.
Sure.
And they're motivated by cash, which is not a bad thing. But in order for that to work, even if it was public, they still have a budget they could operate off of. So like 85% of those beds have to be filled for it to function.
Yeah, to make sense. Yeah, for them to
And so
work.
If you're getting close to 85%, or let's say it's 95%, that shouldn't be news.
Right.
That's like the optimal.
Yeah, yeah, right.
That's like where you need to be in order to pay the salaries of those that are working at the hospital.
Right.
To keep the money flowing, keep the laundry in and out, all of that stuff.
Sure.
To keep the doctors interested in coming there. Because if there's like 4 people in a hospital, who like if you're really interested in being a top-notch physician, but you got 4 patients in a like 300-bed hospital, I'm going to take my skills elsewhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, the framers didn't miss the boat. The bottom line, around the time of the Revolutionary War, there were 2 epidemics. There was the like a cholera one and a yellow fever one.
Yep.
During the Revolutionary War. In fact, one of them affected, what's his name? Benedict Arnold.
Okay.
This is before he turned turncoat.
I was going to say good.
Yeah. So he was fighting up into what is now Canada, into Montreal.
Yeah.
And because this epidemic happened in the New Hampshire area, he had to withdraw his forces, and he ceded a lot of that to Montreal to the British forces. Yeah. Otherwise, Montreal might have been U.S. today.
You missed out, Montreal.
Yeah, you did miss out.
That could have been
with your Francophile business.
Yeah, you could have been like us.
Yeah, you wasn't speaking French and loving it.
Yeah.
So there's that, and they were a common thing. Like every major city in the colonies, and in the states later on, between the Revolutionary War and the ratification of the Bill of Rights, they all had some sort of epidemic, whether it's cholera, malaria, yellow fever, those kinds of things.
Plenty of stuff that would kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of stuff.
And no mention whatsoever in the Constitution about, well, we're going to have these rights except for if people start getting sick.
Yeah, then we have to have the power.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the framers, the guys who are writing this thing, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, they lost family members during these times.
Yeah.
So why do we think that, okay, well, everything's good to go, like you can be free as you want until we start catching a cold with a greater than 99% failure rate.
Yeah.
Like you have a 99% chance of surviving this cold.
Right.
But we're gonna shut down businesses except for the ABC stores.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep that open.
People got to drink, man.
And Home Depot.
Yeah.
We got to keep Home Depot
Got to
open.
renovate their houses.
Right. You never know.
Yeah.
So it just seems like we're short-sighted and we're willingly ignorant. And remember that quote I had last week about people want knowledge, but they're very rarely pursue the extreme ends that's required to have the knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
I'm imploring everyone, like, start doing some research.
Yeah.
Start thinking about liberty and freedom and what we've been given, because if you don't tend to that garden, you will lose it.
I really believe, like, I think what we talked about, the reason we brought this up is I think it's a lot political based because they were able to politicize, a pandemic. They should not be allowed to do that ever. If there's a true public health
Lockdown?
Well, yeah, they shouldn't be able to do that. But I mean, if there's a true public health emergency, these people are not working for us if they turn it into a political issue. If it's a true public health emergency, they should be trying to figure out what's for the greatest good of the people, not for they divided it into a political thing.
They did.
So that should never be the case, because that's not for the best interest of the people.
Let me ask you. I'll ask you this question, and this is to the viewer and listener. How did they mechanize that lockdown?
Meaning what?
So they said, well, you got to lock down.
Yeah.
And you got to stay in your houses. How did they mechanize that? How did they actually do that? Like, they just said those words, but.
Yeah. They said people had to lock down, right? So it became a state thing, right? It wasn't federal.
It was all state thing.
It was all state.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously I think they mechanized it partly with money, so that they made people feel like they could stay home because they were going to get.
They got a little bit of money.
A little bit of money. But it was really more of like, I guess if you mean mechanizing, like scaring people.
It was scaring people, but they physically had a lever, and I'll just give away the answer.
Yeah, sure.
Licensing and permits.
Okay.
I've always been deeply suspicious. Like, why does the barber have a license?
Sure.
To cut my hair?
I gotcha. I understand
Like,
what you're saying.
like, have you ever inspected the license? Like, well, this must be a great haircut that I'm about to get.
Right.
Like, all barbers that cut hair have licenses, so that doesn't denote any kind of quality or safety. Right. It's not like I'm going to get stabbed because this person didn't get a license to cut my hair.
Right.
I've cut my own hair.
And you're literally. And you're still alive.
I'm still alive. I didn't die, and my hair grew back.
It's unbelievable.
Even though I butchered it in spots. Yeah. I've been deployed, and we would just cut each other's hair.
Sure.
That was fun.
Yeah, I bet so.
Some sweet haircuts from that. So licensing and permitting.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research in this.
A little bit.
And so if I wanted to open up a restaurant, so
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 12 permits and licenses I would have.
Gotta have it.
In order to open a restaurant.
Gotta have it, man.
I just want to give people food, and I want to make money from it. Barbershop, looks like 10.
Mm-hmm.
10.
Makes total sense.
And, it's just like ridiculous.
I'm
and so
sarcastic.
why is it the state and the local communities have this kind of leverage over us? If I want to, what problem are they solving is the bottom line. I don't think they're solving any problem, because it doesn't denote anything about the quality.
Right.
And if it's an unsafe condition, don't you think I have the right to or I have the responsibility, me, Adam Mauser, I have the responsibility to figure out whether or not, if I go into a barbershop and I see like electrical wires hanging down in water, and I see like someone that's legally blind trying to cut hair, probably not going to get my hair cut there.
Yeah. I think that's like a capitalism thing.
It is a capitalism.
So, I understand, the thought is that you're going to keep everybody, whatever. But if you go get go get a sandwich at a place that does not follow code or something, or doesn't follow good health practices.
Yeah, because the code is another thing for the.
So they could follow, if they don't follow good health practices and you get sick, there's a high likelihood you'll never go back there.
1,000%.
So, and the same thing with the barber. If you get a bad haircut, you're not going to go back there.
Right.
If they cut you with the knife, you're not going to go back there. If the restaurant has terrible service, you're not going to go back there. These are all self-correcting problems.
They are self-correcting.
Yeah. So if you let people just do their thing, the bad ones, it's always
the market will win.
Yeah, the market always wins. Yeah, you're right. So that should be, that should be CrossFit. What do you think about it as a thing? There's a reason why he did affiliates versus like a corporation and franchises, because he said you can do whatever you want, and the good ones will survive, and the bad ones won't.
And we'll all learn.
And so the bad ones that, if they want to try it again, they'll see what the good ones are doing, and they'll try to mimic the good ones, and they'll try to compete with the good ones, or they won't, and they'll fail again.
And then later on, someone might have another great idea.
Yep, that's right.
To further it.
So I agree. I'm on board with you too. Like, the one that I'll say has a little bit more dramatic effect is like tattoo parlors.
Yeah.
But like, if you went and got a bad tattoo, you're never going to go back to that tattoo artist again.
Right.
And that guy will not be able to pursue that career.
He'll go out of business.
He'll go out of business.
Or get better.
Or he will get better. But at that point, he was giving a bad product. It's going to be really hard for him to ever get his feet back under him.
Right.
So it is a self-correcting problem, 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
So we'll close this out. And there's a bunch of other stuff that we can talk about it another time, because we can just hammer this subject all the livelong day.
Yeah, this was fun.
But let me ask you this question. And this is, I wouldn't say it's conspiratorial, but is it possible, is it feasible that we were given the opportunity, we were given, so in general, you know how a vaccine in general works, right? Mm-hmm. They give you a little bit of something bad, and you build up this immunity to that little something that was bad.
Right.
And so you're stronger when the big thing comes. Right. So like let's say flu, because that one's kind of not tinged now.
Yeah.
Like the cold is.
Yeah.
But you get a flu vaccine if it works. I'm not convinced they do, but you fight off that, and your body gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So when that big wave comes, I'm ready to go. Right. Buddy?
Uh-huh.
All right. So were we given a little bit of a vaccine of a little bit of tyranny? Like, okay, let's just let the state government do these rules and force this quarantine and mask mandates and all that stuff. And people are like, hey, masks don't work. Literally, they don't work.
Yeah.
The vaccine literally didn't work.
Yeah.
We got locked down. We got told to stay in our house.
Yeah.
And none of it worked.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, let's start tracking and see where this money comes from. Yeah. That's weird.
I understand.
How come they? So were we just given a little bit of vaccine of tyranny, and then now we're better off?
I think yes. I do think that that's a real thing, because people are way more inquisitive now. Maybe some aren't, but I know that I am personally.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think there's a lot more people like me than there are not, because I think it's a thing where a lot of things. I think they took advantage of a situation, and they were like, let's see what we can get away with. And there was a lot of people that they figured out, a lot of these people aren't going to, like, I think a perfect example is when they were like, federal mandate, everybody has to get vaccinated. And then a bunch of people were like, no. And they were
Good luck.
They were like, but you won't have a job. And all those people were like, cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to blink.
Yeah. So,
watch me.
And so then when they were like, well, we're going to go through with it, then all these companies were like, hey, it's already done. They're not doing it. The date that you've put in place, they've already passed it. They cannot get both boosters or both vaccines now in the time. So that they called your bluff, and then they were like, okay, well, we were just, you don't have to do it anymore.
Right. It's just a really good idea.
You just should do it.
Yeah, not really.
So some people blinked, but a lot of people didn't blink.
Yeah.
I think an overwhelming more number that didn't blink than they thought were going to blink.
Yeah.
I think they thought they were going to be like, some people were going to stand their ground, but I don't think they thought it was going to be so many people that places were like, our company can't function if you continue on with this. Right. So, and I think that's what happened, which is a good thing.
It's a fantastic thing.
And throughout history, that should always be the way things go.
Right.
I mean, there's always going to be people that are like, I'll stand toe to toe with you, and I'm not going to blink, and we'll see who blinks first.
Yeah.
But in actuality, all these politicians, their pockets are lined with business money, and so that's the most important thing, is those businesses have to keep working. So if those people don't blink that work there, they have to fold. Right. I mean, they folded almost immediately.
They did.
I mean, they gave up on it immediately.
They tried, and a lot of us didn't blink, and so I encourage you. So that was a great discussion.
Yeah, super fun.
I hope you all research that yourself. I hope you're all standing with me, and we don't blink again.
Never blink.
Never blink.
We should get T-shirts to say "Never blink."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We'll get Abby the intern on that.
It's just us like this.
No, it was no conspiracy.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that discussion. That was awesome. We want your feedback. Tell us what you think. Are we off our rockers?
Yeah.
Are we in Mitch McConnell land just doing a buffer right now, or is there something there? And we just love to hear from you. We want to keep going down this path of these conversational things and kind of tie into what we heard before. Next time, I wouldn't mind going down the same path, but maybe talk about the efficacy of the countermeasures that they did try on us.
Sure.
And also talk about and tie it into specifically the Stanley Milgram and the experiments, the response to authority, and the Stanford prison experiments.
Yeah, I think we can tie those in nicely.
They tie in quite nicely.
Yeah.
Do the math. You guys could probably sketch it out yourself and figure it out, so where we're going. But appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.